welcome back to the 12 Cards of Christmas. I'm Tracy with Bewitched Crafts, and today we're starting as usual with a white daisy card base that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Today we're going to be working with two of my favorite colors, the new Blue Belle and Silver. So today I have a card built with a white outline. So I've got a piece of Sapphire that is a 1/4 inch smaller all the way around than our card base. And I've got a piece of the color of the year, Blue Belle, that I'm going to layer on that. With that, I want to get some silver on here, so I'm going to emboss some snowflakes and die cut them. And I'm going to silver emboss our sentiment. We're working today with the Elegant Snowflakes Stamp and Thin Cut set. Let's get started. I am going to select a snowflake. How about this one here? I'm going to use a couple of different sizes. I'm going to add that to my acrylics block. And I'm going to be stamping with VersaMark. Let me get some foam underneath that for some extra cushion. I'll add some embossing powder just to guarantee we don't have any stray bits. And press firmly. I have a silver embossing powder, and I'm going to put a coffee filter underneath my work surface just so that it's easy to filter any leftovers back into the bottle here. And you cover that stamped design completely. Oh yeah, that looks great. And since we're die cutting it, I'm really not too worried about any flecks that might be out here on the edges. So we're ready to apply heat. When I use a heat tool, I like to start it up to warm it up. And I also like to work with a pair of tweezers that are long handles so I don't have to worry about getting burned. I'm going to get these off my work surface. I'll deal with that later. And we're going to apply heat. I'm really hoping you can see in the light the transformation that comes. So this powder is going to melt. It's going to become quite shiny, and it's going to be raised. So we're adding both shine and texture with embossing today. Apply heat from both the top and the bottom. And there it goes, it's starting to melt. Okay, so I'm going to just turn it here in the light, see if it catches so you can see that on camera. So now it is raised and shiny. One other tip I have for you when working with the heat tool is to make sure that air flows through your paper, whether you're working from the top or the bottom. If I had set this down on my mat and simply applied heat from the top, the paper would actually curl. So I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to die cut it. I'm going to use the thin cut dies that are included in the set. I'm going to match it up. And because I do not want this to shift as I roll it through the die cut machine, I'm going to apply a piece of purple tape. This is a repositionable tape that will hold that in place, and we are going to end up with a piece that looks like this. So you can see I've done my embossing in silver on white daisy cardstock. I've actually gone ahead and done several snowflakes in different styles and sizes for us to use to build our card. We can go ahead and put some of this paper down. I'm using a Tombow tape runner. I'm going to use my grid here to line everything up so that I can get that white border. I think it sets off the snowflakes really nicely. This is double-sided, so you'll notice one side is slightly lighter in color. I think I like the lighter color for this card. Apply some Tombow and stick that down. Now I'm just going to play with some of these snowflakes I've already die cut to design the card. I'm also going to be using a stamped and embossed sentiment here on the card front. So I'm just going to play with the stamp to get the positioning of where I want that sentiment to be. I like to work in threes, so I'm likely to use either 3 or 5 snowflakes to get the effect I want, although I may cut some if I want the effect of them being very random and like coming off the edges. In this case, because of the way I've designed the edge of the card, I think I would prefer to have everything fit. So I'm going to work with just this 3. I think if I move my sentiment up here, I can get a little better balance. Okay, so I think that's what's going to make me happy. Great, so now I know where I want my sentiment. I'm going to go ahead and set these aside and apply the sentiment to a My Acrylics block. I can kind of make sure it's straight, again, using my grid. I'm going to apply an anti-static powder because I am not die cutting this, and so if there are little flecks, they will melt here on the card front. I make sure to get this whole area prepped. Great. Now we just need our VersaMark. We're going to apply it generously. And I think we were right about here. I'll bring that coffee filter back in. And I'm going to cover the area with the silver embossing powder. Tap that off. And you can see it's covered very nicely. Do have a few little flecks here that I'm going to take care of with a paintbrush. Just going to be very careful not to touch your stamped area at all. Sometimes it's easier to kind of turn it over, flick it. Okay, that looks really good. So we're going back to the heat tool. So I'm just going to get a few of these things off my workspace so that I don't melt my spare embossing powder. And again, I'm going to let it heat up just a little bit before I start. And I'm going to open this card up so it's easier for air to pass through. Now I'm not using my tweezers this time because I have quite a bit more cardstock to hold on to. But be careful, these tools are very hot and you can get burned. Always keep your heat gun in motion. Never let it sit still. And it's starting to melt. See that transformation? See how it shines? Perfect. I'm really hoping that this is catching the light so you can see how it's shining. Okay. We're just going to reposition these items, make sure I've got them right where I want them before we get the Tombow out. Great. All right, so I'm using my Tombow tape runner again. I apply a little bit to each of our die cut and embossed snowflakes. And there you have it. It's today's card, the 12 cards of Christmas. Hope the light is catching all of that beautiful silver embossing. Come back tomorrow and see what's next.